We open on a nameless young man waking up in a quiet, unfamiliar forest, with nothing but his own name echoing in his mind, Kelvin. There's no memory of family, no memories of his old world, just a floating menu screen and a cheerful, almost teasing voice calling out to him. The voice belongs to the goddess of reincarnation, Melfina, who gently explains the truth. A god in his old world messed up and caused his death, and Kelvin chose to be reborn here. In exchange for powerful skills and a custom-built future, he gave up almost everything about his past life, his memories, his history, all of it. The only thing he kept was his name and a strange thrill in his chest whenever battle is mentioned. Through the menu, Kelvin checks his status and learns that he's a summoner, an incredibly rare and dangerous class. Melfina, confined to the role of his menu interface until he becomes strong enough to summon her physically, acts like a slightly jealous, doting partner as she walks him through his skills and explains the basics of this new world. She advises him to head to the nearby town of Parth, register as an adventurer, and start building a life. Kelvin quickly realizes that, before losing his memories, he must have been a massive gamer and battle junkie. His skill set is packed with powerful abilities and hidden potential, and he even used his precious points to make Melfina his first contracted follower. When he arrives in Parth, the town feels like every fantasy RPG hub brought to life: crowded streets, excited voices, and the lively chaos of an adventurer's guild. To avoid painting a giant target on his back, Kelvin introduces himself at the guild as a simple green mage instead of revealing he's a summoner. At the receptionist's desk, he meets Ange, who walks him through the guild's ranking system and the basics, quests, danger levels, and where an absolute newbie should start. Kelvin registers as an F-rank adventurer, learns to read the local language using his skills, and quickly takes his first request, hunting low-level monsters like blue slimes outside of town. Out on the plains, reality kicks in. His first fight against a slime doesn't go as stylishly as he imagined. He gets knocked around and has to learn, very quickly, that this world may treat stats and skills like a game, but the pain and risk are real. Guided by Melfina, he uses his high-level appraisal eye to analyze enemies, experiments with magic, and slowly gets the hang of combat. After weakening a slime and earning its consent, Kelvin successfully tames his first monster companion, a small, somewhat goofy slime he names Clotho. Through a wordless mental connection he calls the Servant Network, Kelvin can talk with Clotho, and the two bond as they grind monsters together and earn their first real money. Back in town, Kelvin buys a basic wooden staff, rents a room at the Spirit's Sonyan, and enjoys food that feels almost too good for a broke beginner. But while exploring the streets, he stumbles across something darker, a slave trader casually showing off chained and broken people like merchandise. Among them, a half-elf girl with haunted eyes catches his attention. He doesn't do anything yet, just watches and walks away, but the sight sticks with him. Kelvin spends the night thinking about his path in this world, the powers he's been given, and the strange mix of kindness and cruelty built into this fantasy world he now calls home. The next episode picks up with Kelvin already more comfortable in his new routine. He's been taking quests, fighting monsters, leveling up, and growing stronger with Clotho at his side. Inside the guild, his name is starting to circulate. His rapid growth and mysterious skill set quietly set him apart from normal rookies. Through steady work, he's promoted to E-rank, but he doesn't intend to stop there. That's when a higher-ranked adventurer named Cashel walks over with a smirk and a friendly suggestion. Cashel recommends a D-rank quest, investigating a fearsome monster known as the Blackghost Knight, who lurks in an ancient, haunted castle. On paper, it sounds like a golden opportunity to prove himself, but Kelvin's appraisal eye doesn't lie. The moment he inspects Cashel, a chilling title appears over the man's head: Murderer. Realizing Cashel is a predator who lures weak adventurers to their deaths, Kelvin refuses to be bait. Instead of joining Cashel's party as a victim, he calmly proposes a competition: Cashel's entire party versus Kelvin alone. Whoever accomplishes their goal first wins. It sounds arrogant, but Kelvin's instincts are screaming that this is the safest way to deal with a man like Cashel. Out in the field, Cashel and his comrades Gimel and Raj reveal their true colors, planning to ambush and kill Kelvin for experience and loot. But this time, they're the ones who miscalculated. Kelvin's skills have grown rapidly, and Clotho has already evolved into something terrifying, a slime Glatonia, a monster class on the edge of Demon Lord level. As Cashel's group strikes, Kelvin and Clotho dismantle them with almost casual precision. Raj is captured alive, Gimel is wrapped up by the massive slime, and Cashel himself falls under Kelvin's fists when he realizes, too late, that this rookie is far beyond his league. Kelvin hands the criminals over to the authorities, and their crimes, murdering low-rank adventurers for fun and profit, are exposed. The bounty money and the completed quest reward stack together, and Kelvin's reputation surges. But he still has one more challenge, the Blackghost Knight himself. Following the quest deeper into the ruins, Kelvin and Clotho enter the ancient, cursed castle and confront the armored specter, a towering, black-clad knight radiating sorrow and rage. Instead of mindless hostility, though, this knight speaks. He has a name, Gerard Fragarak. Kelvin and Gerard clash in a test of strength and spirit, their weapons ringing through the dusty halls as Melfina watches through the servant network. During the battle, Gerard's memories rise to the surface. He recalls serving a kingdom called Alcarl, only to watch it fall to an elf named Gildora when his liege refused to support a genocidal war. The destruction of his homeland, and the deaths of his beloved wife and daughter, bound his soul to the world as a vengeful, undead warrior. Hearing this, Kelvin understands that Gerard isn't just a monster, he's a knight who never stopped protecting what he loved. When Kelvin finally proves his strength and resolve, Gerard chooses to abandon his lonely vigil and accepts a new contract. He becomes Kelvin's second major summon, joining Melfina and Clotho as part of this growing, unconventional family. The next day, Kelvin brings back a piece of Gerard's armor as proof of the quest's completion. The guild, stunned by both the Blackghost Knight's defeat and the exposure of Cashel's crimes, rewards Kelvin with a massive promotion straight to B rank. Behind the calm smile on his face, the battle junkie inside Kelvin is thrilled. This world is full of enemies worth fighting. With Gerard now in his party, Kelvin finds himself juggling more secrets than ever. The guild can't know he's an S-rank summoner who bosses around undead knights and near-demon-class slimes, and the world definitely isn't ready for the truth about his contract with a literal goddess. So he accepts an invitation to meet the guild master, Leo, in private. Leo is sharp, experienced, and not easy to fool. His appraisal and instinct slice through Kelvin's concealment like a knife through paper. He already knows Kelvin is a summoner and suspects he's one of the reincarnated who have begun appearing in this world. Instead of exposing him, Leo proposes a deal. He acknowledges Kelvin's power and potential, but asks him to focus his efforts where they're most needed, away from politics and closer to the front lines against powerful monsters influenced by the Demon Lord. Kelvin, who is far more excited by the idea of epic battles than court diplomacy, agrees. At the same time, he remembers that half-elf slave he saw in the alley, eyes downcast, cursed and alone. Now that his position is stronger, he decides it's time to act. Kelvin visits the slave trader and asks specifically for the half-elf girl. Her name is Efil, and she's been branded as defective. Anyone she touches bursts into flames because of a cruel curse placed on her. She's spent her life being treated as a walking disaster, unwanted and feared. Kelvin buys her, not as a tool, but as someone he intends to free from that curse and welcome into his party. In a quiet, emotional moment, he breaks the curse with his magic, and Efil feels another person's touch without harming them for the first time in her life. The shock, relief, and fragile hope in her eyes become one of Kelvin's most meaningful victories so far. From there, Efil begins training under Kelvin's guidance. Her natural talent with the bow and magic, combined with Kelvin's ruthless but caring coaching, quickly turns her into a deadly, precise archer. They work together on quests, with Gerard and Clotho watching over them, and the party starts to feel more like a family. Kelvin cooks, Efil cooks better, and their quiet moments of daily life balance the intensity of Kelvin's constant leveling. The guild starts to notice how fast Efil is growing, too, and rumors begin to swirl around the mysterious black-clad summoner and his rapidly expanding household. Weeks pass, and in the next stretch of the story we watch Efil transform from a frightened, cursed slave into a confident warrior. Kelvin takes her into challenging areas like the dark purple forest, where monsters roam and danger lurks behind every tree. Each encounter is both training and a test. Efil learns to control her new powers, pushing herself ever higher while Kelvin stands at her side, ready to intervene if things go too far. The former curse that once made her a threat to others is gone, replaced by disciplined magical firepower and steady archery. As their levels climb, the party begins tackling harder quests and deeper dungeons. Gerard's presence becomes a steady, imposing reassurance, a knight who calls Kelvin my king but fights beside him as a comrade. Kelvin's growing affection for battle doesn't fade, if anything, it intensifies. He grins in the middle of combat, eyes sparkling whenever a powerful opponent appears. But underneath that battle mania, there's a pattern, he keeps taking in strays. A cursed girl, an undead knight bound by tragedy, a slime that grew far beyond its station. His home is slowly turning into a sanctuary for those who needed exactly someone like him. The big turning point comes when Kelvin and his party take on a dungeon rumored to hold a terrifying demon-level threat connected to the Demon King's forces. Deep underground, he encounters Victor, a gluttony-type demon with overwhelming power and an army of resurrected monsters at his command. The fight is brutal, magical, and relentless. Victor uses black magic like Hades' army, summoning waves of undead demons to swarm Kelvin and Gerard. It's exactly the kind of life-or-death clash that brings out Kelvin's inner battle freak, and he laughs with genuine joy as he and Gerard cut through the horde. During this confrontation, the truth about another key figure is revealed, Sera, the daughter of the Demon King. She was sealed away for her own safety and hidden from the wider world. Kelvin's fight with Victor isn't just about personal thrill, it becomes a struggle over Sera's future. Victor, a loyal servant of the Demon King, sees protecting her as his duty, even if his methods are twisted. After an intense battle where Kelvin pushes his skills and magic to their limit, Victor falls, and with his final actions, he entrusts Sera's fate to Kelvin. The supposed enemy recognizes that this human summoner might be the one person strong and kind enough to guide her. Kelvin steps forward and offers Sera something she never truly had, freedom and a place to belong. Instead of treating her as an asset to be exploited or a threat to be sealed, he treats her like a person. He formally contracts her as one of his summons, welcoming her into his party. Sera, powerful and childlike in her wonder about the world, joins Clotho, Gerard, and eventually the rest, completing a core lineup that feels less like a standard adventuring party and more like a chaotic, overpowered family. With Sera now part of the group, Kelvin's adventure shifts gears again. He uses his S-rank blacksmithing skills to craft gear worthy of his companions, from enchanted blades to deadly bows. Efil's outfits and armor benefit from her own S-rank sewing skill. She sews and tailors equipment with both practicality and tenderness. Sera wields a fearsome weapon forged from Victor's armor and materials gathered in their battles, while Gerard receives a new cursed blade that amplifies his power. Kelvin, as always, keeps a few trump cards in reserve, waiting for the right opponent to unleash them on. On the road, the party deals with bandits and thieves who see a merchant wagon or a small group of travelers and think easy prey. Those assumptions die fast. Kelvin barely needs to lift a finger as Sera and the others turn would-be robbers into terrified survivors or corpses. Around this time, Kelvin learns more about the heroes of Doremus, reincarnated champions summoned for the explicit purpose of fighting a demon lord. Melfina explains how these heroes fit into the broader balance of the world, and Kelvin starts to think of them less as distant legends and more as potential rivals, or future sparring partners. Eventually, Kelvin and his group encounter the heroes directly. Led by the sword-wielding Tuya, the heroes stride in with righteous energy, only to accuse Kelvin's party of being the notorious criminal group Black Wind. Kelvin, amused, decides to play along. He acts like the villain they think he is, exaggerating his menace and taunting them about their weaknesses. Melfina, Sera, Gerard, and the others watch fondly as he slips into the role of antagonist, all for the sake of pushing his future allies to grow stronger. Kelvin proposes a deal, a battle between him and the heroes. If they win, he'll accept whatever judgment they choose. If he wins, they'll obey one order. The fight that follows becomes less a simple clash and more a brutal lesson. Kelvin unveils new gear, skill eater gloves that allow him to steal and mimic unique skills. He borrows Sera's martial arts prowess, copies the hero's own abilities, and systematically picks apart their teamwork. As Tuya tries to carry everything on his own shoulders, Kelvin calls him out, and Setsuno literally slaps some sense into him mid-battle, forcing the heroes to act like a real unit instead of solo hotshots. The heroes manage a few clever plays, even trapping Kelvin in an anti-magic field. But instead of panicking, he uses parallel processing to invent a new spell on the spot, breaking out and turning the tables. One by one, the heroes fall, bruised but alive, their pride dented but not shattered. When they wake, Kelvin drops the act and tells them the truth. He's the one who took down real villains like the Black Wind and Kristoff, and this entire fight was a test and a lesson. They realize he never meant to kill them, he was trying to forge them into proper heroes. And when they ask about his one order, he decides to make the most hilariously ridiculous demand possible: they have to strip. It's equal parts embarrassing and disarming, turning former tension into an awkward, human moment they'll never forget. After the hero duel, Kelvin's scope widens again. He takes the heroes to a seaside cave to train against a giant octopus, an underwater dungeon boss in all but name. Watching them struggle against even this oversized creature, he quietly judges their readiness against real threats like dungeon bosses and, ultimately, the Demon Lord. Sera eventually locates an actual dungeon boss dragon, and the heroes, fired up and stubborn, decide to challenge it. Kelvin, amused by their courage, steps in before they die and defeats the dragon himself, proving just how far apart their levels still are. From there, Kelvin is summoned to the kingdom of Torage, where he meets Queen Tsubaki Fujiwara. The architecture and her family name scream old Japan. Clearly, someone from his world had an influence here. Tsubaki wants to reward him for taking out Black Wind and the dragon. While she expects him to ask for fame, land, or political backing, Kelvin instead asks for something much more important to him: rice. Real, high-quality rice. Tsubaki laughs, charmed by his request, and grants him a lifetime supply, even teaching Efil how to prepare Japanese dishes. Offers to hire Kelvin as her personal asset roll off him. He prefers his freedom and the open road. Returning to Parth, Kelvin invests his growing fortune into a large house, a base of operations for his expanding household. He also hires two of the former slaves he freed, Ellie and her daughter Luca, as domestic staff, giving them safety and dignity. Then, at long last, Melfina claims a physical body. With enough power accumulated and conditions met, she descends into the world in an avatar form, complete with wings and a white dress, and Kelvin can summon her properly for the first time. The goddess who has lived in his menu steps out into the same world as everyone else, and his already overpowered party gains yet another absurdly strong member. While Kelvin is building his home, the world's powers are moving too. In the Holy Empire of Doremus, a full hero summoning takes place, calling more reincarnated souls from other worlds to fight against the looming Demon Lord threat. The process is more deliberate and controlled than Kelvin's accident-based reincarnation. These heroes are tools carefully shaped for war. The contrast is sharp. Kelvin traded his memories voluntarily for power and freedom, while these new arrivals are drafted into cosmic conflict from the moment they arrive. Kelvin watches these developments from the side, guided by Melfina's insight into divine systems. More reincarnated people in the world means more unpredictable variables, potential allies, enemies, or both. He knows his existence is already bending the balance. He's the hidden S-rank summoner acting off the official script. As news of greater monster tides and intensifying demon influence spreads, Kelvin can't help but feel excited. Battlefields are forming, and he's standing right on the edge of them. At the same time, his personal life evolves in quieter ways. He takes in a new girl, Ryan, a reincarnated hero-like figure who died young in their old world and is now given a second chance. Kelvin adopts her as his younger sister in public, carefully grooming her skills while still letting her enjoy being a kid in a fantasy world. To protect and motivate her, he tames a shadow wolf named Alex as her partner. Ryan and Alex train together, sharpening their instincts as they chase monsters and dreams side by side. Kelvin's reputation climbs so high that the guild starts preparing a promotion to S rank. Before that can become official, though, he and his household are drawn into a quiet war in the shadows. Assassins from Trison, linked to disgraced figures like Kristoff, slip into Kelvin's territory at night, aiming to take revenge and remove this unpredictable monster from the board. Kelvin decides not to intervene personally at first. Instead, he lets Ryan and Alex face the killers as a real test of how far she's come. Ryan steps up and, with Alex at her side, dismantles the assassins one by one. The fight is dangerous, but Kelvin watches closely, ready to step in if things go too far. The last survivor is captured, not killed, and Kelvin confirms the political threads behind the attack. In the Empire of Trison, rulers and generals argue about how to respond to this ever-growing wild card. Some want immediate war, while others argue for patience and better timing. Men like General Clive, with his vile appetites and twisted ambitions, represent a new breed of threat, reincarnated beings using their powers not for heroism or survival, but pure self-indulgent cruelty. Back at home, life doesn't fully slow down, but it shifts. Kelvin wakes up one morning to find Melfina, Sera, and Ryan all piled into his bed, clearly feeling a little too comfortable around him. With each day, the party feels less like a group of adventurers and more like a strange, loving family held together by shared battles, shared meals, and shared secrets. Kelvin continues using his experienced share abilities to quietly level up Ryan, Ellie, Luca, and others connected to his household. He knows the world is heading toward bigger and bloodier conflicts, and he wants his people ready. As all of this unfolds, Kelvin's long-awaited Rank S promotion exam approaches. The test isn't a simple written evaluation or a token fight, it's a full-scale field trial against serious threats, sometimes including giants and other high-rank monsters. Ryan joins the fray, showing off how far she's come, proving she can stand in a battle that would crush ordinary adventurers. The exam is less about whether Kelvin is strong enough, that's almost a given, and more about how he manages his power and his companions in a high-stakes scenario. At the same time, Efil's backstory and heritage begin to surface. Whispers and clues hint that her origins may tie her more deeply to elven lands and politics than anyone realized. For now, Kelvin doesn't push her, he gives her space and time, letting her choose what parts of her past she wants to face. But for the audience, it's clear that her journey isn't done. The curse may be gone, but the scars it left, and the questions about where she truly belongs, still linger in her quiet, determined eyes. The season surges toward its climax when Kelvin's path crosses directly with General Clive, a reincarnated enemy wielding a horrifying hypnosis skill. Clive isn't just a tactician or a brute, he's a sadist who uses his power to control and abuse others for his own amusement. He tries to enslave Efil, twisting his power toward the person Kelvin has worked hardest to free. That's the line Kelvin won't tolerate being crossed. The battle that follows is personal and savage. Clive hurls a massive Rank S hurricane spell at Kelvin's group, a storm meant to annihilate anything in its path. Kelvin responds by drawing on his most powerful weapon yet, the Black Disaster Staff, a Rank S artifact capable of cutting through even Clive's strongest magic. The clash of their spells tears the battlefield apart, but Kelvin refuses to back down. Channeling his battle-junkie instincts and his protective rage, he slices through Clive's attack, obliterates his defenses, and brutally maims him, severing both of Clive's legs in a single decisive strike. Even then, Kelvin doesn't get the clean victory he craves. General Tristan intervenes, teleporting the maimed Clive away before Kelvin can finish him off. In Trison, Clive's fate turns grim in a different way, as Tristan subjects him to cruel experiments to test the limits of reincarnated bodies. But Kelvin doesn't see that. All he knows is that the fight ended in what he considers a draw, and that frustrates him more than he'd like to admit. The battle junkie in him wanted a final, undeniable conclusion. In the aftermath, Kelvin's achievements can no longer be contained in whispers and rumors. The elves, having witnessed his strength and his defense of their people, recognize his deeds. Nelruz gives Efil a hair ornament once belonging to someone dear, symbolizing her acceptance among the elves. An elven girl reveals herself as Leonhart Gone, and confirms officially what the audience already knows: Kelvin has earned his place among the world's strongest. His promotion to S-rank is no longer a possibility, it's a formal reality. There will be a ceremony, one with another mock battle against existing S-rank adventurers, because even at the top, the world of Black Summoner uses combat as its truest language. Everyone around Kelvin is exasperated but not surprised. They can already see it in his eyes, the thrill of a new challenge, the hunger for another fight, the excitement of measuring himself against legends. Kelvin doesn't just survive this world, he lives for it. With his family of overpowered weirdos, his goddess-turned-wife, his demon princess, his knight, his archer, his little sister, and even his slime, he stands at the edge of an even greater story, ready to take on whatever dungeon, demon, or god waits next, one battle at a time.